Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Behind the Reel podcast. We've got another cool episode here. We've got Mike McKinstry, also known as the Bassquatch hunter. He's got a lot of cool, exciting new things coming up that we're going to talk about today. And I've known about Mike for as long as I've been kayak fishing. He's been really involved ever since I can remember. Worked closely with Feel Free and some other companies over the last several years, and he has gotten himself into a situation where he can actually run a full-time show, which is also called the Bassquatch Hunter. Made an announcement recently that is going to be airing on the Discovery Channel. So if you guys have not seen that already, there are several other places you can go watch that online through some streaming services, and even on cable networks like the Pursuit channel is one of them that I've seen the show on, for instance. But he is going to be coming on the show here in just a minute. I know you guys are just kind of filing in right now, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring him on. We're going to get started and kind of meet him. If you guys want to share this around on social media just a little bit, try to get a few people in here. That way we can get some questions coming in and get a little bit of engagement. Make sure you're posting those questions over there on the comment section feed, on the live feed over there, and we will try to get to those questions just as quickly as we can. But this is a really cool opportunity for you guys to talk to somebody who has found a way to make a full-time living in the fishing industry. This is something that I think is really cool to see somebody do what he's doing and to do it completely outside of the kayak fishing tournament scene. And that's where you see a lot of these guys immediately go to, or, you know, when you think about making a living in the fishing industry, that's where people's minds go to is tournament fishing, which is cool. You know, love having those guys on and talking to them, and love fishing tournaments here locally. But I love seeing the sport itself grow, and I love seeing these new opportunities arise and not necessarily present themselves, but I love seeing people like Mike create these new opportunities for themselves. So definitely a go-getter, definitely something we can learn from. Looking forward to talking to him. But guys, do me a huge favor. I see a few people have jumped on already. Do me a favor, go share this video, click that share button over there, share it in your local fishing groups, share it on your page. Let's get some people involved here. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring Mike on. For those of you that are new to the channel, I do just want to give you a brief introduction. You know, we're all about fishing here. We're deeply rooted in kayak fishing, and we are a community of anglers that want to help each other grow as anglers and also share the sport with new people. And I think that based on what I know about Mike, he can probably agree that he shares some of those same passions. So guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We've got more podcasts just like this. We've got 63 others that you can go back and watch, listen to. Got a few of them on Spotify as well. But I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. We'll get right to it. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So as you can see in the background, you've got some of the marketing material and props and stuff for the new Bassquatch Hunter TV show, and you even got a board game here. Yep. So you've come a long way since you came onto the scene. If you want to just kind of give us a real, brief introduction, how you got into kayak fishing, and, there's going to be a lot of information between then and now, but maybe kind of how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I'll try to give you the elevator pitch version, because it's taken me 7 years to get where I'm at, and it'll take me 7 years to tell you the whole story. But I love telling this story though, because I hope that people hear it and go, all right, well, I can do it. I could do that. And I'm hoping that's what people take from it. But so to reiterate what John said, my name is Mike McKinstry. I'm the host of the Bassquatch Hunter TV show. And I started out doing bass boat fishing for many, many years. And I went from like canoe to a paddle boat to a small kayak that you couldn't really fish out of, then to a 12-foot rowboat with a motor on the back, and then older bass boat, a newer bass boat, kept on going up. And the one thing I kept on doing was hitting stumps. Like there's a lake by my house. There's a part of the lake called Stump Bay. And every tournament I see people like fishing the edge of it, and that's where people would catch like monster fish. And I had this like weird knack for always catching a big fish, not the most fish. Like I would never catch more than 1 or 2 a day, but I would get like bigger ones than anybody else with me. So I was like, man, I bet you if I got back to that area, I could find the biggest fish at the tournament. So like 3 summers in a row, I broke my lower unit off trying to go back there. And it wasn't cheap. I had an older Mercury Force motor. So the parts were super expensive because it wasn't a newer motor. And I was like, all right, I got to get back. So I started playing like the trim game where I keep the motor barely in the water and like then just use trolling motor only. Then I ended up breaking the trolling motor off the bow of my boat one time, hitting a stump. Like this, it used to be an orchard and they flooded it, but I knew there was monsters in there. So after like I had one season where it was like I had over $3,000 into the motor rebuilding it, and I was like, I'm done rebuilding this motor. Like I need to get a kayak. I need to get something I can like the canoe. I didn't want to fish with because I'd flip it. The kayak that I had, if I sneeze, I'd fall over. So I'm like, I can't fish out of that. I heard about these new big kayaks that were around, and like I heard the 2 main brands that everybody had at the time, and I was like, I know they exist, but I don't know anything about them. I've never seen one in person. I've never met anyone who does it. So I called my buddy up. I'm like, hey, you heard about these kayaks, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, you got to check out this brand. It's called Feel Free. It's a newer brand, but they make this one where the seat goes up like a bass boat seat. And I was like, oh, I'm sold. Like that sounds exactly what I wanted to hear, you know? Mm-hmm. So I went online. I found a dealer about an hour and a half away from me that had those. I drove out and looked at one. They had one that it was the 2015 model and or the 2016 model. Sorry, the 2016 model didn't have I think it was 2015. I apologize. 2015 model didn't have a removable sonar pod, so I couldn't mount a fish finder on it easily. The 2016 model did. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this online. I found it on ACK. I bought 2 of them, one for me and my ex-wife, and literally 2 weeks later, the boat went up for sale. I started fishing out of these plastic little boats, and I was like, why do I have a bass boat? Like, why? Like, this thing goes everywhere the boats can't go and everywhere the boats can go. I went back in that bay within a week, and I caught my personal best bass at the time in that bay. And I was like, that was when I was like, this is it.
You caught
like,
the Bassquatch.
Dude, I did. And at the time, my personal best at the time was small because I never really paid attention to length because I was doing bass boat stuff. So I never really measured bass. My personal best length at the time, it was a 20-inch bass. And I've never measured one, so I don't know if I've caught one before. I assume I did. But so either way, I was like, this is it. Like it's kayak or the motor, the boat's gone. Like I'm selling it without even fixing the motor again, like selling it as is, get it out of my driveway. So me and my ex-wife started traveling the country. Everywhere we could. We do a lot of antique shopping. If you notice, the books in this whole room is covered in antiques. And I started noticing these little spots on the side of the road where we like go by, and I still do it to this day, where I'd be like, hey, I want to fish that. And we'd be driving through Ohio, like I want to fish that. Driving through New York, I want to fish that. So I was like, let's bring the kayaks with us, and let's just start like no one believed me that these kayaks were this cool. Like everyone in the bass boat world laughed at me, and they're like, this is a joke, right? Like you got a little plastic toy. And I was like, no, you don't. Like you got a thing. So I was like, let's make videos of like some of these trips that we do so people can see where we can get to with these boats. Like I had no idea what I was doing. This wasn't a plan to make a living. This wasn't a plan to like even start a YouTube channel. This was a plan just to like do what I love doing in a better way. And then I was so inspired by like this experience that I was like, I got to share this. Like this like people need to know how cool this really is. So fast forward like 6 months, I started a YouTube channel. I started posting some like really terrible videos. They're still on my YouTube channel. I've never deleted one. They're like fishing highlight reels, I called them. I used like a $30 GoPro knockoff from Amazon. Like completely terrible camera. Didn't know what I was doing with editing. I went to school for editing 20 years ago, or 24 years ago, technically. Wow. So like I did editing as digital was taking over. So I didn't know what I was doing. And I started doing these videos, and it was weird because I didn't know this was going to happen. Like, you know, most of the stuff I've done in my life was pre-social media, like mixed martial arts and other businesses I've owned. And it was pre-social media being the main medium to get things out. So I started getting so much feedback. And then I had brands reaching out to me going, hey, can you do a video for our stuff or do this? And I was like, holy crap, like this is how it works. Like it was almost too easy in the beginning. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't getting anything, but it was like I was getting attention. Right. You know, because the sport was so new. So then, especially in my state, Michigan, like we didn't even have our own like tournament series or anything at the time. Like there was nothing up here yet. So then I started making videos about like overviews and stuff of my kayak and then reviews. And I would do them all the time because I was so fascinated. Well, then Feel Free contacts me and they're like, hey man, like we like what you're doing. Like, can you do some more of these videos for us? And I was like, heck yeah, I can. Like, are you kidding me? And like, they paid me $200, and I was like, holy crap, I got paid to do this. Like, I'm like, you're joking, right? So I was like, okay, what if I can multiply this? Like, what if I can make this bigger?
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I had a conversation with one of the guys that runs Fuel Free, and he literally, and I love quoting this because it's still one of the funniest things to me. He called me up. He goes, look, man, you're doing too much. Like, you're like blowing up out of nowhere. Like, you're just going so heavy into this so fast. He's like, we either need to tell you to leave us alone, like stop doing stuff for us, or we need to like bring you on board full on. Like, one of the two needs to happen.
Yeah. And
I was like, okay, I'm sorry. He goes, no, you're just a lot to take in at first, man. Like, you're like, you go 150% all the time. I was like, yeah, sorry. They brought me on board, and they started paying me to do videos, and they started like sponsoring my YouTube channel. And I was like, I had 37 subscribers at the time and like 7 videos, and I was starting to get paid, and I was like, holy crap. So I had this like aha moment, and I had a marketing career for 13 years.
Okay.
And I was only in my office maybe 1 week a month, maybe 3 days a month. And I was like, why am I fishing every single day and not working when I could just take all that energy I'm putting in my job that I'm doing on the side, like now it's on the side, and just put it into fishing, because I'm getting paid a few $100 a month. And if I can multiply that, like if I can make $1,500 a month, maybe I can make enough to like work a deal with my ex-wife where we can split the bills, and I can make this work for a year. You know what I mean? And just see if I can make it work.
Yeah. And
I did that. So a year later, I made a deal, and I said, hey, just if I don't make this work, just help me out with the bills. Like, just give me a chance. Like, if a year goes by, it doesn't work, I'll go back to the marketing company. Everything will go back to the way it was. Like, no big deal. Within the first year, I was making almost the same that I was making at my day job. And I just started hustling and grinding and just doing videos for every company I could, and doing content for every brand that I could talk to. And it was brands I was already using. So it was easy. I was like, hey, I use this, and this, and I know a lot about these products because I use them religiously. And I'm going to do a video for you. And I do a video, and I do another one. I do all the work first. And then I would call the company up because I didn't know who I am already. I'm on their radar already. So now when I call them, they go, yeah, we've heard of you. I'm like, yeah, now I look bigger than I am. So now when I talk to them with 37 subscribers on YouTube, they don't even care. Like, because I'm already, like, I did the work. And that's why I always preach to people is like, do the work before you ask for the reward. Because if you ask for the reward with the promise you'll do the work, you'll never, ever, ever get the work. You won't, because everyone says that. Everyone says, you've heard it. I mean, your end too. Hey, I'll mention your name on the podium when I win. It's like, come on, man. Like, you know, like, you do the work first. Go win those events. Go tell people how much you like the product because you're a customer, and then come to us. Then we don't have a choice. Then you're locked in. So I did that, and my strategy worked. I ended up getting some really cool brands under my belt, companies that I really am proud of still to this day, and decided to start making it a more serious, instead of just doing videos on YouTube. I was like, I want to make this more of like a serious show. Like, I want to make this like sharing my experience, and my love for fishing is what I love doing. And people loved seeing it. I'm like, I want people to see how cool the sport really is. So I started coming up with this format that I've never seen or never heard of for my show. And, it took a couple years, but we ended up getting that format on cable TV. Got on Pursuit Channel. We were on streaming first, then Pursuit Channel. We've won awards for cable for the Telly Awards every single season on Pursuit Channel so far, in different categories too. Wow. And then we nailed Discovery Channel this year, and I still can't believe it happened. I still, like, it's hard for me to believe when I went to my 20-year high school reunion the other day, and people were coming up to me like, dude, we saw the news on Facebook, man, you're gonna be on Discovery Channel. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, like, oh, holy crap, that's real. Like, it just seems so, like, that wasn't my goal. My goal was to grow the show and get on bigger platforms, but Discovery was kind of like my pie in the sky thing, where I wanted to always shoot for it. But there's that old saying where if you shoot for the stars, or you shoot for the moon and you miss, you'll still land among the stars. And that's kind of what I felt I was doing, is, you know, networks like Discovery were the moon, and I was like, oh, I'll land among the stars, I'll just shoot for it. And we got rejected 6 times. Wow. And that's the part that people don't realize. You see the reward, but you don't see the risks, and you don't see the work. But 6 rejections, and each submission I did through this agency I work with, the rejection letters were about that long. It was like critiquing every bit of every submission I did and tell me why they didn't like my show, and like these things that I never like have heard critiques of, like don't go from a wide angle to this angle, and don't do like. And I was like, right. Like, you know, like, and I kept on getting rejected, and the agency was like, "Hey man, you submitting again?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." Like, how many times are you going to submit? I'm like, "I'm going to keep on doing it until I run out of ideas to submit, and I'll keep on submitting different video content and different episodes." Finally, they accepted one, and I remember when I remember where I was. I remember where I was in my house. I remember where I was when they called me and they said, "Hey, that one's good." And I remember I sat down and just took a deep breath for like the first time in months, and I was like, "Ah," you know. And then it happened. So now I get to say that our show airs on Discovery Channel, and it's just incredible. And we have some really cool things. We're growing and expanding, and it's just been amazing, the ride it's been. And you know, the path is never like this. It's people wish it was, but the path is like this, you know. And it's just been an incredible roller coaster so far.
Very cool, man. Yeah. And that's the short side of it, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of hard work goes into that. A lot of sleepless nights and a lot of doubt and worry. And, you know, I'm sure you had a lot of concerns at, you know, different points in this path where you didn't know if the bills were going to get paid, and it probably wasn't all hunky dory, but you definitely stuck with it and just followed your passion. And I think that when you have so much focus and you have so much of that drive just focused on what you're truly passionate about, it helps out when it's something that you're truly passionate about, like fishing. And when you put your focus on that, things just kind of tend to fall in place. Got to do the work. Absolutely got to do the work. But I've seen it on a much smaller scale, you know, with what I do. And man, one thing that I did want to mention, though, so you did mention that you fished, you know, some tournaments, and I know you've done some kayak tournaments and stuff like that. But what do you have to say to the people that are interested in maybe making a career out of fishing? Somebody who wants to maybe do something similar to what you're doing, or somebody who maybe wants to look for a path that isn't kayak fishing tournaments. You know, like, you kind of blazed your own trail on that deal, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's the way I look at it is, and that's a great question too. The way I look at it is, if you want to walk into the woods of any industry, whether it's kayak fishing or it's mixed martial arts fighting or professional hockey, whatever world you want to jump into, you got to look at it like a forest. And when you walk into that forest, there's going to be two paths every time, no matter what forest it is. There's the path of being competitive or the path of being like a personality. And those are the two paths of every industry like that. I originally wanted to do tournaments because that's what I knew. I did marketing for some of the biggest names in professional bass fishing. They were my clients for many years. Wow. So I got to be around some of these people. I got to fish some charity tournaments with KVD, because KVD is from my state is 3 hours away from me, 2.5 hours away from me. So we run into each other a lot. I did all his marketing and his distribution and stuff. So I used to ask him all the time, like, how do you do this? Like, man, it must be nice. You know, I was one of those guys. Yeah. Like, must be nice. Got a brand new boat. Must be nice. Got a brand new truck. Like, and he'd give me like a rod, a combo at an event. I'm like, dude, must be nice. You can just give me a $200 combo. Like, but that's because I was like scrambling and scrounging for money to buy fishing gear, like we all do in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I remember he told me, he goes, I don't pay for this stuff. And it was my first time hearing that, where someone was like, yeah, I don't pay for this stuff. I couldn't afford all this stuff. He's like, you see these $100,000 wins that I have, but you don't see the 7 tournaments that I lost that I didn't win any money in, or maybe won a few thousand in, but it cost me 20 grand to get there and to be there and not be somewhere else. And, you know, you don't see me traveling the country 300 days a year doing endorsement deals. And I was like, and I did his book distribution, his VHS tapes. It was before DVD, so we distilled the VHS tapes. Yeah. Like, I did all of his distribution, so I saw how much apparel he sold, and I saw the stuff, and I was like, I get it now. Like, you're not making your money doing you are making good money doing the tournaments, but that's not your main thing. That's not forever. That's not your sustainable part of it. Your sustainable part of it is all your branches that you spread out in the sport. And it's called spider marketing. So you have 8 legs in the web. And if one leg breaks off or doesn't work as well, you can still move easily because you have 7 more legs. So you always branch out. So I was like, all right. So I started doing tournaments because that's what I knew. I did 26 tournaments from 2016 to 2018. I had 13 top 10 finishes, and it meant nothing to nobody. And that was my eye opener, where I was like, I got 13 top 10 finishes in my first 26 tournaments. Isn't that great? Not one brand cared because I didn't have a following. And that's what mattered. And I started seeing that trend, and I was like, okay, nobody cares if you're a winner if nobody listens to you. So I was like, all right. let me build my brand, and then I'll go back to tournaments. But I won't do tournaments for a living. I'll do tournaments when I feel like it for fun, because I love tournaments. I love being competitive. I love just watching somebody win a tournament, even if it's not me. I don't really care if I win. I love seeing someone like life change of a sport that I'm so passionate about, or someone's new PB gets caught, or someone's first tournament is always my favorite to watch the reactions and see like them meet everybody and make brand new friends, and you make lifelong connections at one event. So I did pretty well in tournaments, and I love competitive fishing, but you got to pick that one path. It's either one or the other. You can't do both. And there's a reason why Kevin Van Dam is the biggest, most winningest tournament fisherman in the world, because he doesn't do like the personality side. The dude's like an engineer. Like he's super intelligent. He's very focused. He's not like the big bubbly personality that you see with like Mark Zona or with like Anelli or those other, Timmy Horton, the other guys. But that's why he's different. And that's what separated him. So I chose the path of doing the entertainment side of the sport, because my goal wasn't to win money or win tournaments. My goal was to spread my excitement of the sport that I found, and to let people know like that it existed, and inspire them to get into it, and inspire them to try new things like I did, and just jump in. I quit my job to do this with barely anything behind it. And I want to encourage people to do that, because it's scary, but at the same time, that's how things happen. That's how the light bulb gets invented. That's how the world changes, is you take a risk that no one else wants to take. So my biggest advice I give people is, it doesn't matter what industry you want to get into. If you want to be a professional in an industry and stand out, especially in media, is when you get to that path in that forest, you got to decide, do you want to be the athlete, or do you want to be the TV host of the sport? And pick it and put everything you have into one of them. If you try to do both, you're going to be split down the middle. So I always tell everybody, pick that path first, find your direction, and then find a way to take that path differently than anybody else has. There's no book written on this stuff. And if you try to follow someone's footsteps, it won't work, because what works for me, what works for you, what works for Joe Schmo is completely different, because you're not me and I'm not you. You know what I mean? Like my path only worked for me, for my personality, for the path that I took only worked for me. So you got to find your own way to take the same path as me, but make your own footprints. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So my biggest advice for people is find your direction, and then find a way to do that direction different than anyone else has. Find that off-road trail that goes the same direction, but don't try to walk in someone's footsteps, because you'll never wear the same shoes. It just doesn't work. So I did a thing where, so there's this old saying where if you take something you learn from one person and you use it for your own thing, it's considered stealing. But if you pay attention to everybody around you and do research on everyone that you look up to, and take a little bit that you like and don't like and learn stuff, it's called research. So you go through and surround yourself. Like my first few episodes were with the biggest people in kayak fishing at the time, because I wanted to get around them as fast as possible. I wanted to learn what I liked and didn't like about what they were doing, so I could kind of mold that into what I wanted to do eventually, which is what I do now with my show. And I picked little things, and like my mentors were great people. Like Robert Field was a great help for me, a great dude. Like he helped me so much in the beginning, and for him to be able to give me so much advice on filming and getting videos out there and getting all that stuff out there, it literally helped me take that extra step of confidence. And I tell everybody the same thing, like ask me for help, ask me for advice, ask me whatever, I'll give it to you, but it's up to you to use it. And that's where, like Robert told me, like 1 in 99 people will actually use his advice, and he does it. He helps everybody, hoping to find that 1 in 99. So he always told me like I was his 1 in 99, because I listened to his advice. So that's my best advice for people to get started.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I like that. And it's definitely all about networking too, so when you find that 1 in 99, you're helping them, but you may end up being in a position to where you can kind of repay him for his help, and so kind of and something too on the spider leg thing that you mentioned, I've definitely noticed some of that going on with you here recently. One of those spider legs may be this board game that you got over there to your left. There you go. Heck yeah. Got some sound effects there. So this is it just the Bassquatch Hunter board game?
It's called Fish On.
Okay.
So this is called Fish On. It's the story and adventure of the Bassquatch Hunter. And as you can see right here, you could fish as Seth, which is our character, Seth Squatch. And that's So everyone knows that pose that Sasquatch does, right? Like the little Egyptian pose. Yeah. So that was in our story, at least, which I believe is true. That was his grandpappy Sam Squatch, and he got caught walking in the woods one day. So ever since then, his family went into hiding, and that's why we never see Sasquatch. And when they go out and do their daily things, sometimes people think they see him, but they don't, hopefully. So the Sasquatch family has been hiding in the woods for hundreds of years. They were told to never go out and meet anyone new, never do anything different. And I'm actually going to kind of go into the story for two reasons. I'll tell you at the end of this, but bear with me here. So, Seth was always raised to be afraid of humans, be afraid of anybody different than him because they were hunting him. So you have to stay in hiding. Don't talk to anybody. Don't meet anybody. Don't leave our woods. Don't leave our little world. A kayak fisherman, as we do, decided to find a spot in the woods that nobody else went before, try to find a secluded little body of water that no one's ever seen. And then since they have a kayak, they could drag it through the woods and didn't need a boat ramp or anything. Ended up coming across Seth Squatch. So Seth met his first human, and the human met his first Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch was like, "What are you doing? And what are you fishing out of?" "Oh, it's called a kayak. That's pretty cool. Can you teach me how to fish?" Well, Seth's first fish was the biggest fish he's ever seen, like a Sasquatch-sized fish. So the kayak fisherman gave him the nickname the Bassquatch Hunter because that's a Sasquatch-sized fish, and they'll call it a Bassquatch. So after this interaction happened, Seth was like, "You know what? People are pretty cool. Like maybe everyone was wrong. Maybe people that are different than me are really cool and interesting, and you can learn something new from someone new." So Seth decided to pack up and grab his little dog that he named after the trees. His name is Cedar, which is my dog. And he decided to go out in the world and see what he's been missing all this time. So then he goes out and meets new people in the world. And every time he meets someone new, like a NASCAR driver that drives by, he learns how to race cars, learns how to, be determined, and learns how to be patient and focus and not be distracted on things so you can drive safely. Then he taught the race car driver how to catch fish in the woods and what he loves to do. And then every day he meets a new person. So the story of Seth is based on my TV show. So we film with guests from all over the map, like WWE wrestlers, firefighters, comedians, sports broadcasters, beauty pageant winners, everybody. Cool. So Seth meets someone based off of our guests and learns what they learn and then teaches them how to fish. Well, this board game is his world. So this is your opportunity to fish as Seth in each one of those stories. So the board game is super cool. Here's the back right here, so you can see some of the cards that are in there. But I'll show you the whole game. It'll be easier.
Yeah, and do you want me to play I can play that trailer? Is now a good time, or do you want to show?
Yeah, you know what? Play the trailer first, actually, because that'll show you what the game. Yeah, do that.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and play the.
Hold on to something tight, kiddos. This is gonna be fun.
Heck yeah. I just got to remember how to do it. Oh, here we go. All right, here it is.
Fish On, a fast-paced fishing game. Fish as Sasquatch. Roll the dice to move. Fish On. You caught a Bassquatch.
I never get sick of the song.
So good luck, and maybe you will become the next Bassquatch hunter. Watch out for obstacles and the hungry pike. He can steal your fish. First one across the finish line ends the game. Game's over, so count your catch. The player with the most length or weight wins. Fish On.
That's good, man.
Yeah, so, and then there's an explainer at the end of it to tell you all about how we came up with the game and stuff. But so that's what the game is right there. So the game pieces are different. These are the actual game pieces right here. So it's Seth on the front and Seth on the back. So him walking away. These are the actual game pieces. The 3D printed ones are actually part of the special edition games. But yeah, so the game is right here. So I'm going to show you something really cool. When you first open the game, there's two things you get in the first 100 games or so is the first edition. So you get the first edition card right here, which is Seth is in his world. And then it's the Certificate of Authenticity. So this is showing that it's a first edition game and it's signed by everyone who created the game, me, my illustrator, and then Seth, of course. And then you also get the rules card, which looks like a old sign on a boat ramp for a reason. So that way it gets your attention. Then there's the rules. And it's super easy to play. As you can see from the video, we tested with kids and adults. And this is another thing where people see the reward, but we have over a year into this game, probably 40 something prototypes, months and months of testing at every different age group and different genders and every like different atmospheres and different types of people, like just getting every bit of feedback and then revamping it and redoing it and then more testing before we did production. So now that it's in production, this is like our final, like everything's final. So when you open it up, it's super nice too. We did everything with really high quality stuff. So here's the board. And then in the bottom of the box, you have some goodies. So you have a Bassquatch Hunter trophy that you pass around to the winner. The average game plays like 10 to 12 minutes, which is pretty cool. So you can play multiple times. You have the game pieces down here of all the different colors. And then you have this one as a collector edition. So it's got the 3D printed Seth Squatch. And then you have Seth's supplies, which is a little satchel that he keeps him within himself in the woods. And this has all the other stuff you need for the game. So this will have the cards and the dice. And this game is super cool. So the whole point of the game is not just for kids or adults, it's for everybody. It teaches you how tournaments work. It teaches kids basic math and also realistic expectations of a fishing day. So like here's the actual die instead of the yellow one that you saw was a prototype in the video. This is the actual die. So when you go out fishing, you never know what you're going to get. Every single day, every single body of water, you can go on the same lake every day. It'll be different. This game is set up to be the same way. So every time you play it, even if you play it back to back to back to back, you'll never have the same results twice because it's not skill. There's some skill to it based on the direction of the board game, but it's mostly luck like fishing is. And there's different cards you pull. So when you land on a fish on spot, you pull these different cards. So here's the fish on cards right here. And there's cards from Bassquatch cards that have the pounds and inches. So you can go by either one. If you want to do pounds, you can go by pounds or by inches. There's grass bass, which is seaweed. You go back a few spots. There's
catch a lot of those.
Yeah, me too. Smallmouth bass, and it's got inches and pounds. Bluegill, pull another card. So there's a big variety of, there's like tree pounder, which is catch a stick. Go back 3 spaces, snap your line, go skip a turn. Largemouth bass, broken rod, go back to start. So there's all these cool things hidden in there. So it shows, like, especially kids, it gives them a realistic idea of what fishing is all about. Because I hate when people watch fishing shows and they see like these pro fishermen in a stocked pond just hammering these monster bass. They never skunk. It's never a problem. And then they go out to go fishing because they're inspired, and then they catch nothing. And they go, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. And, you know, I work with over 600 kids a year at kids camps teaching fishing. And I see so many kids do that when they don't catch a fish. And I remind them that it's called fishing, not catching. The point of fishing is the adventure. It's the journey. It's not always about getting a fish. It's about being able to go fishing, and it's about enjoying nature and respecting fishing. So this game does that for you because it's under here, the board, because there's things on here that remind people what fishing's really about. And this is the adventure right here of fishing. So you see all the nets down here. That's where you put your cards, and you cover the skunk with your first card. And then there's spots on here, like right here. It's hard to hold the board with one hand. Right here, it says forgot life jacket, go back to start. You get stuck on lily pads, get stuck on rocks. Forgot your fishing license, go back 5 spots. So it gives you like realistic things you need. And then the pike up here, if you land on the pike, you lose a fish. So there's a lot of realistic parts of this. The other part of it too is as far as teaching kids a realistic part of it. The other part of it too is, how many times have you met a kid that loves fishing and they go, I caught a 36-inch bass last week, or I caught a 20-pound bass. It was this big. And you're like, yeah, okay, kid, whatever. Like you're a liar. What just happened? Oh, I turned my TV off. Hold on. I just lost you for a second. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I turned my monitor off with my elbow. So I can't see any of my screens right now. So I have no idea where I'm at on camera. So give me one second.
Don't pick your nose.
Yeah. All right. That was weird. My elbow landed on the remote I have like a 40-inch monitor on this side. And that's where my live feed is. There it is. Hey, welcome back. So I always have kids do that at kids camps. Like, I caught a 30-inch bass. So what's cool is now they'll have a realistic expectation of what a bass weighs, what it's measured. They'll be able to see different species, like smallmouth bass isn't as big as a largemouth bass. The biggest fish in the game is a 10-pounder, 26.5-inch largemouth. So it's a realistic expectation pretty much nationwide. 10-pound bass don't really exist often in the north, but they do exist. So it's realistic at least. And the south, I know, is a throwaway fish for you guys. And a lot of the guys in the south are always like, oh, that's cute. You got a 7-pounder. That's cute. But it's realistic for kids to see. But it's also, so with kids, the biggest thing we took away from that was they loved the realistic aspect where they're like, hey, now I know how a tournament works. Like you catch 5 fish, you can call out your smallest one if you catch a 6th one. If you catch 3 fish, you can still beat someone that caught 4 fish because it's based on length or weight. So kids loved that part of it. With adults, I expected kind of the same thing. I really expected my feedback from all the testing we did, all my friends and everybody else. I thought they're gonna be like, yeah, it's cool because now I can see how tournaments work. No, adults turned it into a drinking game and they started getting competitive and like arguing and like talking trash. And I was like, all right, this is cool. Like that means you're getting passionate about it. And if you're getting passionate about this game, that means you're getting passionate about fishing. So I just accomplished my mission by making these dudes mad. So this game is like, it's super fun. These will be available online after the new year. We did a Kickstarter that didn't work out well because I made some key mistakes that I'm going to fix. We're launching a new Kickstarter where you can go on and support us getting a bigger order. The problem is we ordered 1 order of these so far at a small quantity. So they cost a ridiculous amount of money at a small quantity. We need to order a large enough quantity so they're cheap enough that we can actually sell them retail. We won't make any money on them, but we'll be able to sell them like what we pay for them and be able to sell them retail. So that's what our Kickstarter is for, is to build funding so we can place our first bigger order to do that. But seriously though, this game is so much fun. Like literally, like even during testing of like the prototype series that we were doing, it wasn't even as good as this one. There was like arguments, which made me laugh because I was like, you're taking it that seriously. That's a good thing. You know, like people are like, no, hold on. Let me recount your fish because I think I beat you by a pound. I'm like, nope, recount your fish. And like they start talking trash to each other. And then you pass that little trophy around. So then it becomes like a visual bragging right for the next game. So it makes you want to keep on playing over and over. So it's literally fun for ages 8 and up because there is small pieces. So it's 8 and up for the rating, but it's a super cool game. It will be available on the Bassquatchhunter.com as well on Kickstarter too after the new year. But also I do want to say this. I don't mean to run on too long here, but that story I told you about how Sasquatch came out of the woods and met someone new all the time. The point of me telling that story was we are actually launching a children's book series. Our first, actually, my illustrator is literally messaging me right now while I'm on this. And he just said a mama joke on here to me. I just said, hey, that's awesome. Make it bigger. Anyway, so the illustrator is almost done with the first book, and we have 12 books. So every book is based off of a different experience that Seth has meeting someone in the real world, which is also based off of our actual TV show. And for those of you who don't know my show, it's the same basis of what I just told you about the books, where I take out someone that's not a fisherman, that is either like a WWE wrestler or a professional athlete, Olympic athlete, Miss Georgia I took out, radio host, comedians, dairy farmers, firefighters, like huge variety of professionals, people who do something for a living that they're passionate about that is very different than your normal 9-to-5 job. I teach them how to fish and how to kayak fish, get them on some really good fish. Usually it's their first fish ever. So I teach them how to hold a fish, how to cast a rod, but then I go in their world. And then I have to learn how to do what they do and just keep up with them in a day of their job, whether it's dairy farming for a day, which I loved, being a firefighter for a day, which I didn't love. I threw up, like it was so hard. Like I did the agility course. I did it in a great time. I hit their not their record, but like their standard time. And then they're like, hey, you did great. I'm like, yeah. Like, it was just, like I couldn't take it. I'm not cut out for that kind of work. Those guys are amazing. But like I get to like literally do what these people do, like Olympic figure skating, and like I get to like learn these things. So in the books, he does the same thing. He gets to meet these people. Like in the winter series, there's 4 books in the winter series. He meets an Olympic snowboarder, figure skaters, hockey player, and then the kayak fisherman comes back to teach him how to ice fish first. And these are all people we've actually filmed with. So the things I learned from figure skating was balance and persistence, like never giving up, like keep on trying until you get it, like don't stop practicing. And then I forgot what the other thing I wrote down in there, like it was something like grace or like flexibility or stability, or it was stability. So Seth learns these things when he meets the figure skater, but then he gets to teach the figure skater what he's passionate about, and it's ice fishing in the wintertime. So every book will teach a kid to meet someone different, try something new, get out of your little bubble, and don't be afraid of doing things that are different, because you never know who you can meet or what you can accomplish when you try something a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So the books work along with the game, because the game is his world where he takes everyone fishing at. So they reference different spots on the board game, like Pike's Fork, and there's signs on the board game, so it all references each other. Then they all tie into the TV show because their books are based off the show, and then Seth is our mascot. So it's all like this big, like you said, like spider marketing, where it's all branched out. We have products coming out next year too. We have some kids fishing products we're launching next year.
Got some new merch I've seen hit
a bunch of new apparel. Yeah, I hired a guy to do a bunch of new logos, and he knocked them out of the park.
Pretty cool stuff. Yeah,
we have all new apparel coming. It's all out right now on BassquatchHunter.com. A bunch of new stuff, and we're not even done. Like, I have so many things I've been working on for years that are just finally, like, as I grow, I have the ability to finally launch these things. So as I grow, I can finally launch all these things I've been working on for years and just been sitting in the room because I haven't been able to launch them. So it's going to keep on going. And I love working with kids. So we have a lot of kids-based products coming out. The way I look at it, inspiring an adult to do something is awesome. I love inspiring adults, but inspiring kids is just like one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. So it's been amazing. I love that graphic.
Yeah, I do too. And
so, yeah, this is all the new apparel. So the Find Your Bassquatch is our original. That was our first apparel that we had with a new brand. Then there's the Bassquatch Definition Series, and all of our new logos underneath there. And you guys can go on there to BassquatchHunter.com. Click the Bassquatch merch on the drop down. And I don't do the apparel. It's all through a third party company. So, like, I don't have it here. So you order it from them, they ship it to you. And, you know, some stuff I make like $1.50 on, some stuff I lose money on. I don't do it for money. I just want it out there and let people wear it and promote it and share their love for what we do. But yeah, there's some cool stuff on there.
Heck yeah. I like it.
That's the Seth Goes Fishing shirt. And yeah, there's some cool stuff. And we had an awesome guy doing our new logos for us. And it's,
he did good.
Yeah, they came out so great. And he like really captured, like, I wanted to make something that was like kid friendly, but also like explained how much fun we have in our show. So like the cartoon, not cartoonish, but like, I guess cartoonish, like that logo right there on the left, like if you go down.
This one.
Yep. So like that one, like I had a bunch of people telling me like, oh, that you should do something more professional. And I was like, no, like that logo is like, or that character right there is like, that's Seth. That's just a different version of him. But that's to me, that's Seth. And he came up with that on his own. And it's a Sasquatch with fish fins.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I love that because it shows how like fun we are with the show and how like light we do things. We're not serious. I don't do things corporate. I quit my corporate marketing career to do this. I'm not going to ever make this like super corporate and super serious. I won't. It'll ruin it for me. So I like that logo. It's fun. And when people wear that logo, they get to show off how fun the show is too. Cause it looks like it could be a cartoon. It looks like it could be a book, or it could be a board game, or it could be a TV show. The point of it is, yeah, exactly. The point of it is like that logo right there is my favorite one.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's my favorite too. Yeah.
I just ordered a whole bunch of patches of that logo that'll be in like 2 weeks. And then I'm going to put them on a special edition hat that I'm going to have. I've already ordered all the hats. And I'll have a special edition hat that I'll be selling myself, not through the website, but through a different part of the website. Okay. And then the patches will be for sale too. Cause that logo right there, I really liked how that one encompassed everything. It has the fish fins in it. It's got the Sasquatch in it. And like my whole nickname came because I used to find the biggest fish. And we heard me and my old buddy, we used to be friends, this guy years ago, back in like 2016. We were watching Dave Mercer, one of my favorite fish to watch on TV. Besides fishing. Yeah, dude, Facts of Fishing was one of the coolest.
That was my favorite.
Dude, between Bill Dance and Facts of Fishing, like that's what motivated me to fish. It really was. And Dave Mercer is such a great guy in person too, and he's a great angler. But he called a fish a Bassquatch one day, and it was one of those things where my buddy looked at me. He goes, "Aha, that's it." He goes, "You always find those all the time." He goes, "You have this knack of finding." He goes, "That's what you should name your thing, is like finding Bassquatch." And I was like, "Hey, that's a cool name." And then I was like, "How about I'm the Bassquatch hunter? Like, give it an identity, like." I'm hunting that big fish. Yeah. And then it turned from that to me hunting the big adventure. Like now I'm trying to always find that elusive adventure that you never get to usually do in life. And that's kind of where the brand turned to. So that logo right there, like I love like the non-seriousness of it, but it also still looks professional. You know what I mean?
I like it. I think That was my favorite one when I saw. I mean, they're all pretty cool, to be honest with you. Whoever you've got doing your design work is good. Like, the game looks really legit. The video for the game was super high. I mean, looks like a commercial you would see on TV, you know?
Yeah, I made that myself, actually. I had an animator do the cartoon part for me. And then the cartoon part came to me in a block, and I cut it all up. I did all the sound effects. I did all the real video you saw. I filmed all of that myself. That's why I wasn't in the video. And I did all the coloring, editing, and everything. And I do that with all my stuff. Even my theme song for my show, I recorded in my music studio across the room over here. You know, me and my buddy did it together. I try to do a lot of sound effects myself in my show, and a lot of music. I'll write a song that I like, and I'll record it and just put it in a show just for fun, just so I can secretly know that it was me playing guitar in that song, or you know, I was playing piano in that part, but nobody knows, nobody cares. But I try to have my hand as much as I can, which is hard. It keeps me up, but if you can't tell, I'm super hyper all the time. So, like, it gives me something to put my energy at all the time. So it's really cool.
Hell yeah, man. Let's see.
What does that one say? It says, let's not forget to mention the top quality BTR hat. I can personally attest it's legit. Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the thanks for the shout out, Fire Jumping Jordan.
Behind the real hat. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, get you a Bassquatch Hunter t-shirt to go with that hat. I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be this one for me. I think that's the one I gotta get.
Yeah, so when I designed that one, I put the logo as big as I could on the front of it, because I was like, I was gonna put it small, and I was like, no, this is a cool logo. It's gonna be black and white. People should be proud of this one. So like, I actually ordered that one. I have to order my own apparel on the website, just like you guys do. So I already ordered that one. I ordered like 4 of them for myself already, because I'm like, I got to start wearing these to all the seminars I do in January and stuff. And I'm like, I love the new apparel. It just like I said, the logo I have right now, I like. My first logo I ever designed for the show. It's the original logo still. I never changed it in 7 years now. The one that's got the typed out Bassquatch Hunter.
Right.
But it's almost too serious for me. Like, it's just not like, like, it's not like the kids don't look at it and say it's cool. And that's what I was like, you know what? I want an 8-year-old to think that my logo's cool. So with that logo, it literally does that, where I think kids can use their imagination and be like, hey, it's a Sasquatch that's like a mermaid. Like, it's like a hairy mermaid. Like, that's cool. Like, they can visualize that. Like, and if that's how they want to visualize it, cool. Like, Seth doesn't have fins for real, but it's a way to merge both those things together. So you can see that and see that's fun. It's lighthearted. It's not too serious. It's playful, but it's also about fishing and finding something, or searching for something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I know it's not something that is just, you know, it seems like it's all happening, you know, right now, but this is, like you said, this is stuff that you've had in the works for a long time. And this is the part where you can say hard work pays off. You know, you see all these different things that are coming out, but they're probably all it's probably all happening at the perfect timing, you know, because like you said, they all can kind of play off of each other. And I'm excited to get one of those board games, so I'm going to definitely stay tuned. I'll share that with all of the viewers when you post that. I'll definitely be sure to share that. So if you guys want to get, if you guys want to jump in on that Kickstarter, you know, you'll be able to get one of those board games, and maybe get one of the. Will there be like a creator edition or something like that on the?
Yeah, so the way the Kickstarter is set up, so Kickstarter is a fundraising platform that you get something in return, and we don't get a penny unless, like, you don't get charged anything unless we hit our goal. So these, like this exact one right here, we have 20 of these left of the first order that we'll have for creator editions. Those will be on there, and then those you'll get shipped right away, right after the Kickstarter ends. Then you'll have the first edition ones. The first edition ones will get shipped, I think it's 60 days after the Kickstarter ends. That way we have time to order them, get them in. We actually get so I did this all, like, I have an illustrator that did all the art, but I did everything else myself, from design, concept, sourcing materials, everything myself. So the game pieces come from one place. The basis for the game pieces come from another place. The dice come from one place. I have to hand sticker the dice on all 6 sides. Those come from another place. The cards come from the same place as the board game in the box, at least. But it's just like this. I had to source everything out the right way to make it affordable and make it all work and make it attainable long term. So, you know, these are super personal to me too. So,
wow.
So if you order the Creator Edition, you'll get the one right away. It's a little more expensive because you get one of the only 20 of the first ones that have like the 3D game pieces on the back right here on the imagery, which those won't be there after the first 20 games are gone. The next 100 will have the paper ones on there, or the cardboard stand-up ones.
Yeah.
So there'll be like, there's different tiers on there. So you can donate $5 and get a sticker. You can donate $50 and get a game, whatever, or $80 and get 2 games. And then after the Kickstarter is over, then all the games will be available on our website, along with the first 2 books. I should knock on wood for that. The first book will be done right around the new year. The second book, the first book's an origin story, which is kind of what I explained earlier in this interview. Like his whole origin story of how he became who he is. I gave you a short version of it, but the second story is like him meeting his first person, which is a NASCAR driver. Then the third one is meeting a firefighter. So that each story after that is going on, but we probably only have the first 3 books done by the spring. Then the first 4 is the first series of 4 will be done by the summer. Then the second series of 4, the winter series, will be done by the winter. And then the next year we'll have the next 4 done, which is spring. So we'll have like, they're all seasonal based.
Are you kind of targeting on the books?
So I haven't tested the books. It's a super expensive process to do. We did it with the board game and it was super hard. The books is even harder. So I haven't tested it yet. I'm waiting until we get the first 4 done, and then I'll get all 4 tested at once. But the testing I've done as far as doing public reads of the book that we've written so far, I didn't hire a writer. I wrote all the books myself. I did do creative writing all through school. So I do have a background in writing. My girlfriend's a professional writer now too. So, I do have some good people around me to help me, but wrote the stories myself 100%. Then just had someone edit them for me because I'm not good at grammar and punctuation like that. So the books tested pretty good at 5 and up. But I don't know if they'll get approved 5 and up because there's content like the firefighter, and there's content like WWE wrestler, and sometimes that will limit it to the older crowd so they can understand the profession kind of thing. So it might get rated for like 6 and up.
Okay, cool.
Maybe 7. But it's one of those stories that, like, even my illustrator said tonight when he was texting me, he's like, you know what, if people read this and don't get like emotional about the story, like something's wrong with them. And that's the whole, like, you could read as an adult and be like, you'll get the message, you'll get the whole point of what I do is to try to inspire people to try new things and just meet new people. And like, we do hundreds of pay it forward things a year. I film some of them just to promote it and inspire people to do it. We do the 12 days of Fishmas coming up, where the first day of Fishmas is usually like low key, but somewhere in the middle, like day 7 of Fishmas, I'll go to Walmart and hand out gift cards to people randomly, to strangers, to pay for their groceries and stuff. And we'll go to restaurants and pay for everyone's food. We'll go to a drive-through and spend an hour doing circles, paying for everyone behind us nonstop. We go to gas stations, hand out gas station gift cards. So we do those every year for Christmas. I do that for 12 days, and I pay for it myself. We do donations for it too, but usually like we'll get a few hundred donations and then I'll just cover all the rest myself. We do like Easter, where we hand out kids fishing rods at playgrounds and hide them for kids so they can find them instead of finding candy, find a hobby. We hand out, I do kids fishing rods. I hand out like 50 a year in the summer camps. So we do like all this cool pay it forward stuff to try to inspire people to do good things for strangers and meet new people and do all this stuff. It's all based around our same format, where we just want people to go out and try something fun. And if it's fishing, then cool. If it's kayak fishing, even better. It's fun. But I just want to inspire people to try something different, meet someone new, take a risk in life. If you want to start a new career as a plumber and you have to quit your job to do it, just believe in yourself, take that risk and do it. Just find your path. Like I said, in the woods, find your path of which one you want to take, give it all you have into it, and don't try to follow someone's footsteps. Make your own. And you can do it in any industry. I did pretty high level mixed martial arts fighting for a long time. I owned a bar. I had a music company. I did marketing for 13 years. I had my own marketing company for 3 of those years. I've done so many things and taken so many risks and stuff like that. And the one thing I've learned in all of that is that if you don't take that risk, you can't get the reward. Even if you don't succeed. I've failed at some of my businesses too, for sure.
Yeah.
But if I didn't take that risk, I would have learned what I learned. So the next business was more successful and the next one's more successful. And now what I do for a living now is a culmination of everything I've done in my life, everything like marketing and sales and promotions and doing, kind things for people I love doing and working with kids. Like everything all comes together for this now, which is like exactly how it should be. Like every skill you learn in life and you learn along the way, like it's like your Zelda and you're collecting these like little like experience points, all these like side, like what is it called, like side journeys, and you collect all these points so when you get to the end you can accomplish your goal. And that's kind of what I feel like I did. So I hope that's the message I send out to people, and I hope it inspires people, and I really hope it works out.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I would say you've definitely set yourself up for success, and I think that's something good to point out to people, is that it's taken you some failures to get here, and you've learned along the way, and you've taken those risks, and some of them have paid off, some of them haven't, but they've made you a better business person. They've made you better at marketing yourself, and man, I'm inspired. It makes me want to maybe branch out a little bit more than I do, and put a little bit more effort into it, because sometimes we can just kind of put ourselves on autopilot and just kind of go through the motions. And when I do that, I notice you don't see the results that you want. So you gotta, like you said, you gotta go 150%, and you gotta be all in. And I'm from this personally. For those of you watching at home, I hope you take this away from it too, but I like the spider leg marketing. What'd you call it?
Yep. Spider web marketing. Okay. You put 8 legs in the web. That way you never see a spider fall out of a web with 7 legs. You know what I mean? You can stay in your zone if you branch out. The problem is when people do, completely like unidirectional work in any industry. If you pigeonhole yourself into one thing, like a competitive fisherman, if you do tournaments only, you don't do any marketing, no promotions, no content, no photography, no video, right. Nothing. You can still be successful, but if you fail at tournament fishing, if you just have a down spot where you just don't do good for a while, you have nothing to fall back on. There's nothing else to sustain you. But if you put out 8 legs, you know what I mean? You put out 8 legs out there, and tournament fishing goes away. You still have your other 7 branches that are all keeping you together, and then until you get out of your slump. So that's why I spread out what I do too. Is the show does really well. We've grown every year like ridiculously. Like I can't believe every year I'm blown away that we win awards. We get rated super high on the network. We have millions of viewers. I mean, we're looking at for 2023 our projections for 2023. I got it right in front of me actually. We're looking at. We were at 4.35 million impressions last year, and we're looking at almost 7 million impressions for 2023. We average over 1.6 million viewers last year. We're going to be averaging over 2.5 million viewers next year. And every year it's like exceeds our.
It's about that time. He was having some electrical issues, he told me, and he tried to keep them out until about 10 o'clock, and it's just about 10 o'clock his time, so they may be doing their thing. He may be able to get the audio back, but for those of you that are watching at home that may be interested in doing something similar and maybe trying to make a living for yourself in the fishing industry. Maybe, fishing is something that you're truly passionate about, and you want to try to go out and do something like Mike has done. He's shown you that it's possible. He's done it with, like he mentioned, I think this is really impressive that he's done it by himself. I'm sure he's had people along the way to help him out, right? And he's been able to contact people that are maybe experts in those certain fields, but like he told you, he picked out all these little different pieces of the board game and had to have them brought in and put them together himself. Like all that stuff just shows you the hard work and the determination that went into it. He wasn't going to let somebody give him an excuse, on why that game wasn't going to happen. He made it happen. And I think that's important. If you guys have something that you're passionate about and you want to see it happen, sometimes you just got to make it happen. It's not always going to be easy, and sometimes it's.
How's that?
Get him? We got him back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's through my webcam audio. So DTE, which is the electric company out here, they have 4 trucks outside my house right now because we had an arc in our meter outside, and it was shorting out my whole house. And they're outside waiting to do the work, and they literally are so cool. I brought them hot chocolate earlier. I made them all hot chocolate. There's like 3 trucks out there. And I just told them to keep on getting refills, like keep on coming in. I'll make as many as I can. I'm like, I have an interview to do. So just like, can you hang out? And they're like, sure. Well, so they've been outside waiting, but I think they had to start working on it. So they cut power off to half my house over here. So I just lost all my lighting over here. I lost all my mixer, everything. So now we're pure webcam.
Well, I appreciate it, and I don't know if you could hear what I was saying, but I
think I can hear off my computer. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that it's impressive, and I think that that's something too that people are going to take away from what you've done. That it's definitely not something that's going to come easy, and if you're willing to put in the work, you just may get to reap the rewards. So I'm excited to actually get a copy of this board game. That's really what I've been watching you over the years, but that board game is actually what got me excited. I don't play a lot of board games, right? I'm not a big board game guy, but I saw that and I thought that was something cool that I could sit down with my wife and kids and we could play and of course I like fishing, so that little fishing spin on it sold me. But and the books too.
Do I still have audio right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My power just came back on again, but they're going to turn it off again. So I didn't know if it went back to my mixer. I was like, can you hear me? But it's over here now. Okay.
But
so if anyone has any other questions about all the stuff I do too, you can message me 24 hours a day. I literally barely ever sleep. This energy is like natural. You can message me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you use, Twitter. You can Instagram me, whatever. Any questions you guys have about the industry, if you want advice on stuff, I review fishing resumes for people all the time. I don't have a lot of spare time, but I will dedicate time to help people out. But you can also check out our show on YouTube. We put all of our episodes on YouTube right after they air on cable. And then Pursuit Channel, we air for 26 weeks. We're still airing right now, actually, on cable. And then we air on Discovery Channel in May of 2023. And then again after Shark Week, which I think is August. But I'll update all that on the website.
Nice.
And then, follow us on socials. Follow us on YouTube. We don't do a whole lot of content on YouTube, but we post all behind the scenes videos. We post a series called Squatch and Learn, where we do like little tips and tricks and like really cool product reviews and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool content on YouTube. All the photography and behind the scenes photo stuff goes on Instagram. So there's a lot of cool ways to find out what we do and keep up with what we do. And it's free to follow people. So like this podcast, it's free to watch this. It's free to like it. So it's free to share it. So same thing with us. So we appreciate all the support we could possibly get.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you get your electricity situation back up and running here. But I appreciate you holding those guys off. I do, and I'm gonna be following you along the way and looking forward to getting the game, watching the TV show, and maybe even having a book to read with my little one. So.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I once the books get printed, man, I'll send you a free copy and let me know how you like it and everything. I should have them done right after the new year. The printer, I think, is closed for the holidays, so I'll probably get it right after the new year. But I'll let you know for sure. You'll see it on socials, and I'll be glad to send you one. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it too, and I'm excited to go back and watch a bunch of episodes on the podcast too, and catch up with some of the other. I saw some of the guests you've had before. I was like, well, I kind of want to hear that one.
Yeah,
I want to hear that one. Well, I want to hear that one. I was like, I got to listen to a bunch of these now.
We've had a few good ones, and you're definitely one of those. So, thanks, man. You have a good one, and we're gonna stay tuned to the Bassquatch Hunter.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a great holiday.
Thank you. You as well. All right, guys, that's it. Really cool story. Really cool to see people do what they're passionate about and find a way to make a living doing it. I think that people get so caught up in following other people's footsteps, just like he was talking about, and maybe that'll work in certain industries and stuff, but I think it's also very important to do, to be true to yourself, right? To do what you're truly passionate about. So, the kayak fishing thing is something that he's obviously passionate about. The tournament fishing scene is something that he enjoys, but from the sounds of it, he really just enjoys introducing new people to the sport, to kayak fishing. And I do see a lot of stuff that he does online with the youth, and I think that's awesome. I think that's something that we could all probably get more involved in doing, something that I would like to be more involved with. We've done things in the past with like the Boy Scouts. We haven't done that in a couple of years. So I kind of want to get back to that. I'm setting myself up with this next tournament season. As you guys know, I'm involved in the local kayak fishing tournament scene. with both the Air Capital Kayak Anglers and the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And I think we've got a really good group of guys that are going to make sure that the Kansas Kayak Anglers are going to have their best season yet. So we had our inaugural season last year, and it was a success. And by no stretch of the imagination, it was an awesome season. But we had a couple things that we could improve on, and we've got a really good crew. I think that is going to ensure that happens, but also give me more time to maybe focus on doing some more of these like community-based events. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, and maybe you don't know how to do it, reach out to me, reach out to Mike, ask people that you see doing things that you want to do in their part of the country and bring it to your part of the country. You may organize an event and you may get people involved, and it could really change their life. Or, not that this would be the goal in doing something like that, but it could change your life as well. It could really spark, it could really spark something like kayak fishing did for Mike, and like it's done for me, because, I just sold somebody a kayak today, and they came in and I was kind of telling them about, what we do as a group with the Air Capital Kayak Anglers and the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And I told them that I got bit with the kayak fishing thing 7 years ago, and here I am. And, I'm working full time in the fishing industry, right? And as a marine electronics salesman, I get to talk to people. Literally, I talk to people all day long about fishing, and that's what I do. That's how I feed my family. So, I got a kayak and I started fishing with some guys around me, and I've kind of found a way to make a living in the industry that I'm most passionate about. So for Mike to do what he did, I think it's awesome. You could tell he was super passionate about it. I didn't get a whole lot of words in there, but I mean, he was touching on all the good stuff. So, obviously he has some experience with marketing, but I also thought it was interesting that, he mentioned, I took this class and I had some experience doing this, and, he's done a lot of things, but he didn't wait for somebody else to write these books. He had an idea for these books, and he'd never written a book before, right? And he'd never, done some of these things, but he felt like he had enough experience. He had the confidence to make it happen. And I think that's really interesting. And like we were touching on with the game pieces and how he put together this whole thing where he just has a whole bunch of different stuff being shipped to his house, and he's literally hand putting these things together. I feel like my impression or my assumption with how you would develop a board game would be you call somebody and they develop a board game for you, and you pay them a set amount of money and you just wait for it to show up, right? But he wasn't going to be able to make it work by doing that. I'm sure he discovered those routes, right? So he made it happen. So I think that's something that I would really like for you guys to take away from this interview and from Mike. And I would really appreciate it if you do follow him on social media. Go check him out on Facebook. Go check him out on the Pursuit channel. Just go to the Bassquatch Hunter. What is it? Bassquatch Hunter TV. Let me go back over here. I'm over on the apparel side of the website, so it's not showing me. Yeah, it's just bassquatchhunter.com is the website. And he actually has a list of all the different places that you can watch the show. And stay tuned, be inspired, follow your passions. And if you guys want to get involved in the local kayak fishing scene here in Kansas, or if you don't have a local kayak fishing scene where you're at, give me a shout out and I can tell you how to get it started. Some of these things you just got to do. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. You got to be the one to do it. So guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for subscribing to the channel and for viewing and for interacting in the comment section over there. I really do appreciate that. When I mentioned something earlier about being on autopilot, I'm kind of on autopilot right now. I'm not seeing the results that we were seeing earlier on in the year, but I know good and well, why that's happening. And it's because I'm on autopilot right now. Might be just a weird winter funk that I'm in, but I'm definitely going to hit on the gas pedal here before too long, and you're definitely going to see some more content. And I think this interview might have just re-energized me and gave me some more ideas on how we can grow the brand, how we can grow the sport. And appreciate you guys all tuning in again. Do me a favor, guys. Share this video with a friend. Share it on social media. Send it to a buddy. Share it in your local fishing groups. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll be back soon enough. Next week, we've got Richie Lockery. He's been on the show before. He won, I believe it was the first Moyak Winter Series event this year. So, and he's a big bait guy. I'm assuming we're going to be talking about fishing big baits in the wintertime, which I know a lot of you guys probably have some questions about and would be interested to hear about. So Richie is a good friend of mine from Missouri, and he is known as the swim bait slinger. So guys, thanks again for tuning in. I'm signing out. We'll see you on the next one.